wonder who that could be.
Sam, would you get that for me? I'm a little busy here, okay?
Sure, it'll be the thrill of my evening.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. That's them!
I'm out of here. Don't let any girls touch my stuff.
Get going, Daddy! Happy birthday, baby!
Dad, you know about this the whole time?
What can I say? I'm a party animal, hey.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to
Ayo. Oh, hey.
the Who's the Boss podcast.
Fancy.
Thank you,
nice.
Samantha. Yeah. I'm Tori.
I'm Kevin. Sorry, there's a dog licking my foot.
Awesome. We are here to rewatch and discuss every single episode of Who's the Boss. I've got Nana notes.
Oh, Nana notes.
Yeah, I'm starting a new segment right now. So I talked to my mom. We call her Nana. Girls call her Nana. And she wanted me to know that egg creams are not garbage because I called them out for being garbage. But she said the key is that you have to make them with fountain soda, club soda, which makes sense because when I was a kid, we owned a Carvel ice cream store when we moved to Florida. And before that, my parents owned an Italian pastry shop in New York. So she must have had access to like fresh club soda out of the fountain. And so she said they are delicious. And then the other note was that in Paint Your Wagon, when we were talking about the outfits that the women were wearing to work out, she said that's what you used to wear. You put on the tights, you put on the leg warmers, you put on the leotard, and you went and worked out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I believe it.
Yeah, I do too, because I remember like the Jane Fonda workout video and stuff. That's what people were wearing. That would deter me from working out even more than I am deterred now, right? Where I just roll out of bed, put on leggings and a tank top. But I was trying to think now, like today's TV, what would be an accurate representation on TV of what people work out in? And I was thinking of Alexis on Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like she looks gorgeous in it because she's Alexis from Schitt's Creek. But, like the yoga pants and some sort of dry weave shirt, tank top is a good representation of what the style is today.
Yeah, the Lululemons.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, Nana. Nana notes.
Yeah.
Now, today we are going to talk about Season 2, Episode 3. This title is Ad Man Micelli. It first aired on October 8th, 1985, and the TV Guide summary says, Samantha's afraid the rich girls at school won't like her. So she tells them that Tony is the president of an ad agency. It was written by Robert Sternin and Prudence Fraser. And now an interesting thing about this episode is that it was the first one shot when they came back from hiatus. So they shot this episode, then they shot Thanksgiving at Mrs. Rosini's, then The Prodigal Father-in-Law, then Tony the Matchmaker, and then the season opener.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't think it was, my thought is they did that because of the sets that they had to build for It Happened One Summer.
Yeah, there were a lot of elaborate sets.
Yeah.
With the deer and everything.
The deer.
No, but I mean, that episode was primarily a bunch of sets that
they don't have.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think they probably figured these were all... Thanksgiving at Mrs. Rosini's is a different set, but it's a set they've used before, kind of. So they probably just figured we'll do all the stuff that we can do on the normal sets while we build this. Because it wouldn't have made sense that they had ever planned to air these in any other order than what they were in. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. And I learned that information from a Facebook group called Who's the Boss Resource. So that's the website that I've mentioned before, which is now defunct. So they've created a Facebook group where a lot of the old members are there and they're putting up some of the information that they had on the site. So it's great. Check it out. Okay, so when this episode opens, Tony's making lunches for the first day of school. Now, right. Tony, there's no peanut butter and jelly here.
No.
There's no carrot slices, maybe carrot slices, but no Lunchables.
Probably carrot slices knowing Tony.
Yeah, true, yeah. But
except for the meatball sub.
Right,
yeah.
So he's giving them hearty meatball subs. Now, our kids are pretty picky, but even like the average child, could they eat that entire sub?
No, it's like a foot long for sure.
That's like a construction worker man's lunch right there.
Lunch, yeah.
So Mona comes in and...
But before you get any further,
yeah,
I must mention, and if you watch this episode again, Tony's singing some weird song that I a lot of times in my notes I'll write like stupid things down like this.
Really?
And then I go look up what it is.
Right.
And he's singing, and it's like, wait a moment. And I'm like, okay, that's probably some song by like Al Martino or something.
Yeah.
I can't find nothing.
Oh.
It's a Tony Micelli original. Wait a moment. Wait a Moment by Tony Micelli.
Maybe Tony Danza was like working on a one-man show, trying to workshop some songs, and he just threw that together.
And they put it in the only reason I know that it's Wait a Moment, because it's hard to understand what he says. The closed captioning says, with musical notes, Wait a Moment, Wait a Moment.
Yeah, that's
bizarre.
bizarre.
And then that's it.
Yeah, like I know a lot of times on TV.
And it's not Wait a Minute or Just a Moment.
No.
It's Wait a Moment.
Wait a Moment. I know a lot on TV that if you sing a song that's recognizable, then you have to pay for the licensing.
I know, but they've done that a couple times in the show where they sing some Sinatra songs.
Right.
So, I mean, singing just a little bit, I don't know if that's as... the licensing for that is different from actually playing the song, but...
It is. I mean, I'm sorry. It's not. If it's recognizable, you have to pay for it. Is what I've heard. But yeah. So maybe he's just making this up. So
Gotcha.
Because he's Tony Danza,
right.
and he wants to get in his. Maybe he was trying to become a David Duchovny singer-songwriter at the time.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a whole nother
a
story for a whole nother time.
Terrible podcast. Okay, so Mona comes in. And we got into a little bit of an argument over what was on Mona's sweater.
We did.
But you were right. So I thought it was like
I know I was right.
A gopher or a beaver or a groundhog.
No.
It's a duck.
Yeah.
Yes. I was looking at the ass part as the face instead of the face part as the ass. Okay. So it is a duck.
Can I say that again?
I don't even remember what I said. So she comes into the kitchen wearing her duck sweater.
Her ass face, duck face shirt.
And she's like, you cannot pack the meatball subs. It's going to congeal and get disgusting. Yeah. But Tony has a plan, and he pulls out 2 awesome vintage 80s thermoses that I want.
Yeah.
And then slides the meatball subs.
But he slides them straight down.
Yeah, so now...
So the bottom of the thing is a pile of... wet bread.
You said the F word again. I'll bleep you out.
And it's a pile of wet bread with meatballs and sauce all smashed down. That sandwich is going to be impossible to eat.
We'll have to ask Jonathan how it turned out, because Samantha just didn't eat hers.
No, she didn't. You'll find out why if you don't know the episode.
So Angela comes into the kitchen, and she's like, Tony, the clothes that you bought, Samantha, are adorable. And Tony's like, are we talking... 6th grade adorable or junior high adorable, because I really want her to fit in. It's her first day of junior high, and she's going to be 13 in a couple of days. So I guess in Connecticut, junior high would be 7, 8, and 9? 9th grade?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like middle school. I mean, back then when I went to junior high, it was 8 and 9.
Oh, really? Because I went to middle school, and it was 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yeah, I think it just is depending on where you live. Like where I was, there was a 7th grade school, a 7th grade center, and it was only 7th grade.
Only 7th grade? That's bizarre.
Yeah, so I had like K through 6, 7, and then 8 and 9, and then high school was 10, 11, 12.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we just had elementary until 5th, and 6th, 7th, and 8th was middle school, and then high school was 9th through 12th. So yeah, so she's starting her first day of junior high, and Mona's like, just don't let her spend it like Angela hiding in her locker. And Angela,
of course.
Angela says, I wasn't hiding there. A 9th grader locked me in there. Poor
Again,
Angela.
Of course.
I know. So in the living room, Jonathan and Samantha are getting ready to go into the kitchen, and he asks her if she's still going to talk to him now that she's in junior high. And she says, of course she will, just not in front of anybody else. Not in public. That was a very sweet little moment. So Samantha comes in her new outfit. She looks very cute. I bet I wanted that outfit so bad.
Oh, I'm sure.
When I watched this show as a kid. And she's excited to start school. She's saying that all the subjects sound so fancy, she doesn't even know what they are.
I know.
And so now we get to school, and Samantha's trying to get her locker open.
I know.
I feel like that's definitely a thing that kids can identify with.
Right. Like, what's my locker combination?
Right.
How do I get in?
Especially when you go from elementary to then middle where you have a locker.
Right.
And then we had that same setup where it wasn't like the locker going the full length.
Right.
There
It was
were
always
people
stacked.
below you.
I had that too. Yeah.
And of course, I think I ended up with like a top locker, and I was probably 4'11" at the time. So yeah, that was a cute little thing that they added in.
And
so
what's awesome is, and she's doing the combination, and then she just Fonzie that bitch. She just punches it and it opens. Yes. Like, what is that?
Yeah, that was great.
I like that.
Now Marcy comes over, and Samantha asked her how gym was, and she's like, "It was terrible. They make you take a shower." You were saying you guys didn't have to shower?
I mean, we did. Like, we didn't have to after.
You had the option.
The option, and of course, I opted out.
Awesome.
I wondered why.
No girls wanted to go out.
Right.
Yeah.
Here comes. Oh God! Here comes Weber.
I do remember having to take a shower at middle school, but like, I don't know. Maybe I blocked it out. I don't remember it being a terrible experience, but I don't remember it being a good experience.
I probably did. I just don't. I know I did not want to, and I chose not to a lot.
I wonder if that still happens. I
don't
mean,
know.
our kids.
Who knows?
We have a
don't know
5th
anything.
grader, so I guess we'll find out when she gets to middle school. So Marcy sees the popular girls. It's Robin Fraser, her friend Bonnie, and her friend Julia. And Samantha's like, "We've been here for just a little while. How can they already be popular?" And Marcy explains that Robin's sister was on the cheerleading squad, and she has bronzed pom-poms, so I guess the whole family is kind of a legend at the school. So Robin comes over with Bonnie and Julia, and I noticed that Bonnie is wearing Guess overalls.
Yeah, those are pretty awesome.
Yeah, those were so big when I was a kid. I remember it was Guess, Esprit, and Benetton were like the labels that you wanted to have.
Yes, yeah.
Now I think it's like Brandy Glanville or Melville. Wait,
Yeah,
one of them's not a housewife and one of them isn't, and I'm getting them confused. I think it's Brandy Melville is the clothing, but
Yeah, I don't know what any of that means.
yes, I feel like it's not quite as much pressure as it was in the 80s to like have those brand names, but maybe our kids just aren't there yet. So they introduce themselves. They're Marcy and Sam. Samantha, everybody calls me Sam. Robin thinks that's a really cute nickname. Robin's like, "We're going to go get lunch. Why don't you come with us?" So they're getting ready to go to lunch, and Bonnie sees another girl named Dolores Parker. She recognizes her from elementary school, and they're like, "Oh, I think she's poor." Poor Dolores is just like wearing a plain
Yeah,
t-shirt.
she's cruising by in her brown t-shirt.
Yeah, like not at all, she's going for comfort over style for sure. And they're like, she's not poor because her dad's a dentist. And Julia's like, yeah, but they advertise.
Yeah.
I guess that shows.
And maybe she's just trying to be different. All this, just because she's wearing a brown shirt walking through the halls. So she's poor.
Well, so they call out her being poor, and they're very nice to her. They're not at all mean. They say hello and stuff, but they call her out for being poor because she brings her lunch, and that's when Sam realizes she's holding her lunch in a giant thermos. So she passes it off as being coffee, which they all think is very cool, and she puts it back in her locker and goes to lunch. So do you think she just borrowed money from Marcy, or maybe she had some money to be able to buy lunch? She probably carries a little bit of cash with her just in case.
It didn't matter.
But so it does matter.
No, I mean, okay. We can have a breakout and discuss how Samantha paid for lunch, what she had to do to get money. I mean, that's fine with me.
So as they're walking to lunch, Robin's like, "Oh, where do you live?" And Samantha says, "Oak Hills Drive." She's like, "That's a nice area. Your dad must be rich." And why is she assuming the dad's rich? Mom be rich?
See, I didn't even think about that.
And Samantha says, "Well, he really cleans up."
Great line.
Now back at the house, Tony is cleaning.
Right, cleaning the mirror, and what's he doing? Singing, "Wait a moment, wait a moment." A song that, again, does not exist.
He cannot get his own song out of his head. It's like stuck there. So he has to keep singing.
Why does he keep singing in each scene the same song over and over again? If it was a song I knew, it probably wouldn't drive me crazy so much. Anyway.
Let's have a 15-minute breakout on it.
Okay, why Tony was singing, wait a moment.
So as he's cleaning the mirror, he's kind of staring at himself in the mirror. And
this scene's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I like this whole scene.
And Angela catches him. So she says, what do you think? Does Stallone have anything to worry about?
Right.
And he's like, I'm not. She's like, I can tell that you're looking at yourself. And he's like, I'm not looking at myself. I'm cleaning.
Right.
And he goes on to tell her that she doesn't make it easy because she's working from home that day and she's kind of making a mess. So Angela goes on a mini tirade about, don't talk to me about work because I'm supposed to work with, 30 of the most highly skilled agents and I do all the work. It's supposed to be collaborative and that's just not what's happening. So Tony kind of plays it off as, well, because you're the best. So, everybody's going to rely on you.
Right. You're the president.
Yeah, you're the president. So he takes her glasses off and starts to clean them. And he's like, if I was looking at myself, then you were looking at me.
Right.
And you were watching me do it. So they're being very flirty here.
I know. Which
is good because, even though they shot this first, this is taking place after it happened one summer. So I noticed that they really seem to be amping up the flirtiness between them here in the beginning of the season for sure. So Samantha comes down the stairs and she's like, gotta go, I'm going to a friend's house.
Yeah.
And Tony's like, you're never home anymore. Where are you going? She explains she's going to Robin Fraser's house and that the reason why Tony doesn't know her is because they always go over to her house. Samantha's basically trying to keep the kids away from her house so that she doesn't have to explain that she's not rich. So she's like, gotta go, I'll see you later. Now, I only noticed this because I was looking at her feet. First of all, Samantha's wearing these like jeans with the stirrups. Remember the stirrups? You probably don't remember the stirrups.
You think these are jeans?
They are like a, a jean legging.
Yeah.
Oh, you got the episode up over there. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't see it on my computer.
No, it's okay. No, I think they're jeans. You're right.
Yeah, they're like jean leggings kind of, but they have the stirrup. So as she goes out the door,
yeah, you're right.
Look out the door because there is Bonnie's and Marcy's sleeping bags rolled up outside of the set waiting to be used in the next scene.
I know. Why would they put them right at the door? Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, they could have just put them over to the left.
Right to the side.
Yeah. So before they even planned the sleepover, Marcy and Bonnie had already dropped off their sleeping bags.
Put them out front, right in front of the door where she could almost walk into. Oh my gosh, yeah, they're all there.
Yeah, the two I picked out were Bonnie and Marcy that I can match up later.
Mustard-colored one.
Yeah, so check that out. Now, when Samantha leaves, Tony's still telling Angela, like, I don't get it. Like, why didn't you bring your friends over here? Kids are supposed to come to your house and eat all your food, and it's a great time. And Angela's like, well, why don't we have a sleepover? It's a surprise slumber party for her birthday. And first, Tony's like, whatever. And then she says, like, no, we'll make popcorn. They can talk about boys. They'll practice kissing.
Right.
And he's like, practice kissing with who? And she's like, on the back of your hand. And
did you practice kissing on the back of your hand?
I did not. But I think okay, this is an embarrassing tidbit about myself. But I think I had, like, this pillow that I used to practice. But it wasn't a slumber party. It was just me by myself. At slumber parties, I don't think we ever practiced kissing on anything. We just, like, ate candy and watched movies.
Right.
But yes, I did have a pillow that I used to practice kissing on. Which, that's embarrassing. I'm sure we'll get a Nana note. So, okay, so he says that they practice kissing in the back of a Chevy. But now, he had already, we just learned last episode, but by 11, he had already kissed Angela, so what was he practicing for?
I know.
He had already had his first grown-up kiss.
That's right.
So Jonathan comes downstairs and Angela's like, oh, we're going to have all of Samantha's friends over. I don't know what she was expecting. Did she think that Jonathan would be excited about this?
I don't know. I guess he's too young to care about girls coming over.
Yeah, he's like, I'm out. Like, I don't want to hang out with any of Samantha's friends. So he asks if he can go to Peter's house. Now, I feel like we never meet Peter, but we do hear his name often. And she's like,
I don't think we do.
She's like, that's fine as long as Peter's mom's okay with it. And she says yes to everything. And Tony says, that's why she's got so many brothers and sisters.
Oh, hey, yo.
And
Tony
that's what
with the
got
cheap
this,
shot.
That's what got this episode sexuality warning label on the TVG.
Maybe. Yeah.
That and the bras.
And the bra talk.
Yeah. So Angela's like, okay, are we all set for Saturday? And Tony's like, I think really we should do it on Friday because she won't be expecting it. And Angela's like, well, I have a date on Friday. So there's two really cute things going on here. One, I love that Angela wants to be there for the sleepover because she wants to be a part of Samantha's life because really this is just her housekeeper and his kids. So if she didn't care, she'd be like, sure, you can use the house because I'm not going to be here anyway for most of the night. But she wants to be a part of it. And then two, this is the first time we see either of them get jealous over the fact that one of them is going out with somebody else.
Yeah.
So she says she has a date, and Tony's like, with who? And then she's like, I don't. She seems surprised that he's acting this way about
curious.
Her having a date. And he's like, well, I mean, that's fine. It's not you're be out all night, will you?
Right.
Kind of hinting around. And so I thought that was really cute because now we've switched over from where before he never really cared or thought twice about her having a date with anyone. And now he sort of does.
Suddenly he's concerned.
Yes. So now it's Friday. And Sam's kind of bummed. They're finishing up dinner. Angela's not there because she's on her date. Mona's there. Jonathan's there. And Tony's there, obviously. And Tony's asking her, oh, do you have like big plans? And she's like, no, I thought I did, but all my friends have plans, so I have nothing going on. And the doorbell rings, and Tony asks Samantha to go answer it.
Right, because he's busy.
Yeah, so as soon as she leaves, he's super excited that it's her friends, and Jonathan's like, all right, I'm out of here, don't let them touch any of my stuff.
They just send him out the back door.
Yes, he goes to Peter's house. So Samantha answers the door, and all of her friends are standing there holding their sleeping bags ready for the slumber party.
Which we saw earlier.
Yes, we saw at least two of the bags. So I think it's funny, too, that they all just showed up at the same time. Like, maybe they met on the corner, and then they, like, walked over together. So she is so excited, and he's like, happy birthday, and Mona's saying your dad planned the whole thing. And Mona's there to help, which I also think is really cute because she's kind of invested in Samantha's life as well.
Yeah.
So the girls immediately start setting up all their sleeping bags in the living room, and Tony and Mona go into the kitchen to like get popcorn and get some other stuff that they need. So Mona goes to make room in the freezer because the first girl to fall asleep is going to get her bra put in the freezer.
I like when she first tells Tony that. He looks so like, what? The look on his face is like, I don't know what that means.
Now, I do remember that as a kid. I don't think we ever did it, but it was always like a thing that was said about slumber parties. And then Mona's taking a lot of stuff out of the freezer, and he's like, I don't think you need that much room. And she's like, you never know. Could be me that falls asleep first.
Right.
So Tony goes over and starts taking even more stuff out of the freezer.
Right.
Now, in the living room, the girls are kind of like playing around, laying out their sleeping bags, talking, settling in. And Sam's like, she tells Marcy, this is like really exciting. And we find out that 2 weeks have passed now. So it must be 2 weeks into school. And she's like, this is really exciting that Robin's here, but I'm just worried she's going to find out my dad isn't loaded. And Marcy's like, maybe it won't come up. But Robin's first question is, nice house, what does your dad do? Again, what does your mom do? Maybe her mom's a brain surgeon. Nobody knows. I know. And Samantha's like, what does your dad do? So Robin's dad is a senator. Julia doesn't know what her dad does, but he won a Nobel Prize. Bonnie, they gloss over, and we already know that Marcy's dad is a doctor.
Right, but which one's dad was the senator? It was...
Robin.
Robin's dad was a senator, but he earned most of his money in the private sector.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was.
All right, does anybody know what that means? No?
No.
Okay.
Ronan, our dog?
No? Okay. I was waiting for somebody to raise their hand. I didn't know what it meant either. The private sector is the part of the economy sometimes referred to as the citizen sector, which is owned by private groups, usually as a means of enterprise for profit, rather than being owned by the state. The private sector employs most of its workforce. In some countries, in private sector, activities are guided by the motive to earn money. So blah, blah, blah. I guess it's more of a... Yeah,
I'm going to be honest. I still don't know what that means.
The only thing I can get out of it is more of a, like, privately owned company.
Like, is it, like,
instead
trading between private companies that aren't public on the stock market?
I guess. I don't know. I
idea.
thought this was going to actually have clarity, but
well,
it made sense when I read it earlier. But you're right.
This is you doing research. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you.
See, I add to the show. I bring to the table.
So
it's a minute 30 you can never get back. I'm sorry. Okay, let's move on.
Now, Samantha's ready to tell them what her dad does, and Marcy's like, well, I don't know actually if Samantha was ever planning on telling the truth here, but she didn't know what to say. And Marcy's in the back holding up one of Angela's storyboards from when she was working from home. And Samantha decides she's going to tell them that her dad is the president of Wallace & McQuade, the 12th largest advertising agency in the country. So Tony comes out right then, and he overhears her, and he's very sad. And we even have some dramatic music to show how sad he was. That's some fantastic dramatic 80s music.
It is, and it just seemed like it came from out of nowhere on Who's the Boss like.
Yeah, yes. It did seem...
I mean, I guess it went to commercial break, but still, it's just...
We kind of got that a little bit with It Happened One Summer, where they were like doing those little transitions where we'd see like the shot of the hotel. But yeah, it's kind of like almost like a fade, not a fade, a zoom into his face. Like it's funny. So when we come back from commercial break, Tony's in the kitchen telling Mona that Sam's out there lying about him, and he's really upset. And he's like, you know, the truth is that I'm not good enough for her and all of her new rich friends. And Mona's really on Sam's side here, just saying, you know, this is hard on her. This is, you know, a transitional time, and just go easy on her. And it's not that she's not proud of you. She's just really trying hard to fit in.
Right. Yeah. Which is nice, I guess.
And Tony, it's and Mona's always, well, unless it comes to Angela, Mona's very no judgment.
Right. And then Angela, it's all bets off.
Yeah. And I think Tony gets it. I mean, it's not the right thing for Samantha to do at all. But I think she's just kind of caught off guard and just worried about making the wrong step. And, you know, she's already had to deal with this a bit in elementary school, and now the stakes are even higher in middle school. So I think Mona's just like trying to get him to cut her some slack. In the living room, the girls are all playing and singing, but you can tell Samantha's feeling a little uncomfortable at this point, and like probably feeling guilty and feeling this idea that like now she's lied to them, and you know, the truth is always easier to keep track of than a lie. So now she's kind of in a position where she's going to have to keep this going.
Oh, yeah.
Tony comes in and tells Sam that he wants to talk to her in the kitchen. Now in the kitchen, Samantha like knows what he's saying. She knows that he hurt her. She apologizes. She tells him she's sorry and that she didn't mean it. And, you know, she just didn't really know what to say in front of all those kids. But I love the difference between TV kids and real life kids, because this was a real life kid. She would have completely burst into tears and begged him not to make her go out there and tell all of her friends the truth. And it's just so funny. But TV kids, like, you're right, Dad. I'm going to go do the right thing. So she goes out there. She's hoping that he will let her not do it tonight, but she knows she has to. So she goes out there and she's ready to tell them. And they tell her, like, we've been talking and you're our new best friend and that she's cheerleader material.
Yeah.
I didn't
get her pom-poms bronzed.
Yeah. I didn't realize that, like, the kids would determine who's a cheerleader. Like, wouldn't she just have to try out for cheerleading at the school?
Yeah, not in the school. Not in Connecticut.
Apparently Robin Fraser decides if you're cheerleader material or not. So as she's about to tell them the truth, Tony starts feeling bad for her. And he kind of just jumps in and goes with the lie. So you can see the look on Marcy and Sam's face when they realize that Tony's playing along. So he's like, I'm not really, he's like, advertising is a collaborative art, so it's not just me. So she wasn't really telling the truth about me being behind this whole campaign. It's me and the team of people that put it together. So it's funny.
And it's very similar to something that Angela said earlier.
Exactly, yes. So it is a callback.
He just absorbed all that.
Right. To what Angela said at the beginning of the show. So that's good because it shows that the dialogue was not useless. Now, the dialogue about him looking at himself in the mirror was useless except for the fact that they were flirting.
Right,
so
except for it was a neat moment.
Yes. So Mona comes out with the Ouija board at that same time. And that is also very good continuity because if you remember from the episode Double Date, when Angela and Mona are talking about how Mona was a little too overbearing when Angela was a child, one of the things she calls out is that Mona says she always had to run the seances at the slumber party. So now she is here with the Ouija board.
With her Ouija board, yeah.
To run the seance. So that was very good continuity there. So Mona is now doing the seance, asking if Boy George will grow his hair long again.
I know.
Which is funny because it's also another callback to Boy George from when they were doing the seance scene in the kitchen. That was interesting. When Angela comes home from her date. So she walks in with Andrew, her date.
Right.
And Tony's like...
Who's in a double-breasted suit.
Andrew was?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fancy brown double-breasted suit.
Yeah, and Angela looks like... I don't know what Angela looks like, but it's... She has so much clothes on. Like, I know that she's conservative and doesn't want to show maybe a lot of skin on her first date, but it's like, it's a turtleneck, there's embroidery, it looks hot. Like, I'm looking at her thinking, not hot in a sexy way. Right, like, I'm like, oh, it just makes me feel hot and, like, itchy, but yes. She looks very severe in this moment, which I feel like sometimes they really dressed her that way. So she comes in and Tony's like, oh, hi, honey, my wife's here. And goes over and kisses her on the cheek. And Angela's date's very confused as to why she has a husband.
So is Angela.
Yes, Angela is just as confused. And she's like, what? What is going on? And Tony's like, come into the kitchen and I'll explain. So he drags her into the kitchen. And I love this next line from Bonnie. Sam, is your dad upset your mom's on a date?
She's completely clueless.
Well, like, it's almost as if Bonnie has experience with her dad being upset that her mom's on a date. Like, it's so funny. So Mona's like, oh, no, that's not... She wasn't on a date. This is our cousin Andrew.
Right. Digging the lies.
Yeah.
Digging deeper in the hole.
And luckily, Andrew is a man of very few words because he just kind of stands there dumbfounded until Mona pushes him out the door and says, we'll see you at the next funeral. Now, in the kitchen, Angela's like, I have to explain a lot of things to my dates, but the fact that I'm married to you is a new one. And he's like, I'm sorry, I had to say that because I said that I owned your house and that I'm the president of Wallace and McQuaid.
And she's like, what?
Yeah. And he's like, I know it's wrong. Samantha knows it's wrong, but can you just go along with it for this one night? And he wants to give Samantha a great birthday. He knows, that it's hard for her because all these other kids are loaded and he can never give her all the things that they have. But if he can just give her this one night, it would make them both feel good. Now, I feel like once Angela hears... Like, Angela can't deny Sam. Like, she's going to go along with this because of Sam. So in a very cute moment, Tony asks if she will be his wife. And Angela goes along with it, and she's like, I suppose you're going to try to kiss me again. Now, at first I thought this was referencing first kiss, but I think this might have just been referencing the little kiss he gave her when she came in the door.
Oh.
Right? Which one did you think?
I don't know. I didn't even think about that. I just figured that was from first kiss.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So let's go with that. Because then I was thinking, she just must mean because he kind of kissed her on the cheek when she came in. And she's like, I suppose you're going to want to kiss me again. And he says, in your dreams. So they really are being very flirty with each other here. Way more than they would have in season 1. So she goes out in the living room with Tony and makes a big show of calling Sam her daughter. She asks where Andrew went, but Angela must not have been that into this guy because she doesn't seem too concerned that he just got pushed out the door thinking that she's married, and we never see him again. So
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, bye Andrew.
He's like, I don't know what's going on here, but I won't be coming back.
So the girls decide they want to play Truth or Dare. They ask Angela, and Angela's like, okay, sure, we've got nothing to hide. Let me play Truth or Dare. So she sits down with the girls, and they ask, like, why is your name Bauer and your husband's name is Micelli? So I feel like today this probably wouldn't even be a question. But maybe at that point it wasn't that popular? I don't remember. I don't remember a lot of my friends' parents having different names growing up, but I also could have just not been paying attention. So she says...
Yeah, probably not as much of a thing then.
Yeah. Like now I feel like it's way more customary to see like a mom who still uses her maiden name and then the kids have the same name as the father. Or sometimes the kids have hyphenated names of the mother and father. So... But again, I just want to say I think it's a personal choice. Nothing's right, nothing's wrong. So then she's like, oh, well, I still use my name for business reasons. And they ask her what business she's in, and she says advertising.
Right.
So now the girls are confused. Like, oh, both of you are in advertising? And he's like, no. Tony's like, no, she's not really in advertising. She just helps me with advertising.
Right, and then he says the worst line ever.
Yes. The woman behind the man. Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah. So, but again, at that point, no one would have even batted an eye at that line. Like now, I don't think really anyone would use that presently to describe a present situation. So Angela apparently keeps her maiden name so that she can use it for business reasons, and her business is taking care of her husband. So she's like, yes, I just like to make a happy home for him. Then they ask if it was love at first sight, and he says yes, and she says no.
Immediately.
Yeah. And he's like, you asked me to move in the first day we met. Now that is true. Because he did move in the first day they met.
Yeah.
And then Mona says he's been plumping your pillows ever since. Now this is Mona's in heaven right now. This is Mona's dream. The two of them pretending to be married.
I know.
She's loving this.
That's what she worked so hard for.
Yeah. So Angela wants to get out of this situation, and she suggests that they open presents. Sam goes straight for her dad's first because he's been she said he's been acting strange about it the whole week.
That's right.
But he doesn't want her to open it because he realizes that once she does, it's going to give away this ruse here that they've got going. So now I remember in the last episode where Samantha had a birthday, and we figured out that was less than a year from this episode.
Like 8 months apart.
Yeah, this episode aired in October, and then Samantha's Growing Up, which is the first season episode where she has her birthday, aired in January. So they really do grow up fast because Samantha's having a birthday 8 months later. Now, in that episode, Angela had talked him into getting a necklace. And so at the time when we watched that episode, I thought that was the locket that gets her in trouble in this episode. Ah. So I was confused, but I was wrong. And so Tony did give her a necklace this year, and it's something she really wanted. So I guess she's grown out of the baseball gloves, at least to some extent. So she opens up the present. It is a necklace with a locket on it.
Yeah.
And Robin, Little Miss Grabby Fingers, just gets in there and it's like, oh, it opens, and opens up the locket. So inside the locket is a picture of Tony and then a picture of a woman. And Tony's trying to still help her out. And he's like, yeah, that's me, and that's her aunt, or her aunt, whichever one he says. I say it wrong. And Samantha's like, no, it's not my aunt, it's my mom. So now that her mother's been brought into this situation, she can't keep this going. Like, she has to tell the truth. So she says, it's my mother, and she always taught me that I should be proud of who I am, and, I am. And so Tony's very proud of her in this moment. Angela looks like she's about to fall down if she's not holding on to Mona because she's so touched by this.
I know. It's like, what's happening there? Like, oh, it's very intense.
They're like gripping each other. It's like they just found out someone was going into the hospital or something. So Sam tells the truth. She's like, my dad is not rich. He's actually Angela's housekeeper, and this is my mother. But I messed that up actually, because before that, Julia sees Angela walking over to Samantha and says, "I get it. You used to be a brunette." That poor girl.
I know, she just doesn't know what's going on.
No, not at all. So so they explain that that's not her mom, that she's Angela, and that she's terrific, and that she's her dad's boss, and that she lied to them because she was worried that if they knew that she brought her lunch and that she wasn't rich, they wouldn't want to be friends with her. Now, everyone...
Makes sense.
Yeah. Makes sense for the 80s.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm sure that's probably... I don't know. We're so far removed from that world right now.
That's true.
I don't know what it's like to be a kid right now, but I
don't remember when I was younger either way. I know as I got older, I always wanted to buy my lunch, but I just didn't want to carry a lunch around, probably more than...
Oh, you're actually talking about the lunch part.
I'm sorry. What are we talking about?
Like the just like the idea of your friends being wealthier than you, or like not fitting in.
That was a thing.
Yeah,
for sure too.
Yeah, like I don't know how prevalent that is now. Like I know our kids also don't go to a fancy school, so our kids go to a school with a range of children. Mm-hmm. And, they have more than some and less than others. So I think it's kind of not that much of an issue. But, yeah, it's been a long time since I've been a kid. So I'm not sure. And it could be different in other areas for sure. So all of her friends are like, oh, we would have totally still liked you, except for Robin.
Yeah, right. At first, she's like, no, I'm a snob.
Right. I wouldn't have liked you. But I've already gotten to know you now, and so now I already like you. And I remember that line when I was a kid, and like I kind of
really?
Yes, that was a line that really stuck out to me of Robin just kind of being a snot and saying that like to me, like I think when you're a girl and you're that young, it's kind of almost like she's mysterious to you. I don't know. It was a weird thing. Like, it wasn't so much that I like wanted to be Robin or I liked that she was acting that way, but it was just the fact that she had the audacity to act that way, I guess. That was kind of mystifying when you're a young girl.
Okay.
So, so she says, I'm Samantha Micelli from Brooklyn and I bring my lunch. Now, they're all still going to be friends with her, big hugs, everybody's happy. And Tony's still kind of being flirty with Angela with like, oh, this isn't that great, dear.
I know. And
they're playing around and she kind of smacks his arm off of her. But then if you look, she kind of like smiles at him after. So she's not really upset with him.
I know. But then she says, you're such a card.
Oh, she does?
Yeah. Which I've always wondered what that means.
When did she say that?
Like right at that scene. But,
I don't remember that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's right at that scene.
I don't know what that means, but that sounds like a very Angela thing to say.
Yes. Well, I looked it up.
Oh, you did? Oh, here we go, audience.
Okay, everybody gather around. When you say, why do we say you're a card? It's when someone is being silly or acting up.
Oh.
But not sure if I understand this. But a card is a witty or eccentric person or a character. The card is, that goes on about a book, but then there's a part where it says the term itself was perhaps suggested by a phrase such as sure card, meaning a winning card.
Oh.
Alternatively, there may be a pun on Latin cardus, I probably said that wrong, meaning thistle, as an instrument for combing and teasing cloth to raise its nap. I'm sorry,
okay, we got a little out there, but okay.
Again, we're probably not any closer to knowing what that means, but I just read a bunch of things. So there you go.
He looked them up.
You were saying?
He was going to read them.
I know. Again, I think when I read it, I'm like, this is good stuff. It's going to work real well for the podcast. And I'm reading it out loud, and I'm like, I mean, I understand, you're a car. I mean, I knew it was something from back in the day. Hey, you're a car.
Yeah. It does. It sounds old-timey, and it sounds perfect for Angela.
There's got to be a reason. And, I mean, here we are. Anyway.
So the next morning, Tony's making breakfast. The kids are all sitting around the table, and Angela tells Jonathan that he missed a great slumber party last night. And Jonathan could care less.
Can care less. Right. Doesn't care.
And Mona's like, how would you know? You were the first one to fall asleep. And Tony kind of gives her a look and then says, hey, Angela, will you do me a favor and get the orange juice out of the freezer? Because my hands are full. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing he's talking about like orange juice concentrate.
Oh yeah, there's earlier. I can help you with this one. Earlier, when they're taking items out of the freezer to fit Mona's oversized bra into the freezer, right. There's a shot where Mona's holding orange juice from concentrate, one of those frozen pound things.
So so he was sending her to get that.
Right. The orange juice is in the freezer because it's going to make it from concentrate.
No, come on, Tony. I mean, that's a little lazy. I've seen him squeeze oranges before, right? Meatball subs for lunch.
You're missing the point here.
So Angela opens up the freezer, and her bra is there. And she's like, my bra! I wonder what they did to make the bra so stiff. They probably put glue or something and then let it dry.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because it really wouldn't have been frozen like that.
Right. You got to wet it, I guess.
Yeah, so she hits Tony, I think, with the bra, and then that's the.
But it freezes before they hit, which leads you to believe that she did indeed hit him with the bra. Okay, so rating time.
Yes.
I gave this one an 8, a solid 8.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was done well. There's moments, there's tearjerker moments also.
Yes.
Almost. It had the feels and all that kind of stuff. So it was a good episode.
So mine was a little lower, and for a couple of reasons. One, I think I've been lately giving these too high of a grade. But
I feel like I've been giving too low.
So
I went high this time.
I went to a 7.
Okay.
Now, I remember loving this episode as a kid. Mm-hmm. But I think now that I'm less enamored with the Samantha character and more enamored with the other characters, I kind of thought the storyline was a little weak. But I really do love the part where Samantha fesses up and, cannot lie about her mother.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
Yeah, that was very good. And I do think that Alyssa did some great acting in this episode as well. But yeah, I just kind of went with 7 because I thought the storyline was a little thin overall.
Who's the boss around here? Me? Or my mother? Or maybe it's you!
I went with Samantha as the boss for this episode. And the reason is because even though she made the bad decision at first, Tony was still going to go along with this lie even after she opened up the locket. And then she's the one that made the decision that she couldn't lie about her mom. So I felt like she kind of took control of the situation and righted the wrong at that point.
Now I wish I would have gone first. No, it's because I had the exact same answer for pretty much the exact same reason.
Nice, yeah.
She went along, but she couldn't, once the locket came out with the mom. Again, another tearjerker moment. it showed that she was the boss. And yeah, you're right, because Tony was willing to still go along with it.
Yeah, he was gonna do
all the
whatever.
lies,
Happy.
the vicious lies. But she ended up fessing up, which was good.
That's very sweet. Okay, so you can reach us at Who's the Boss Podcast on Instagram. And I realized I've never called these out before. You can also reach us at Who's the Boss Pod 1 on Twitter and the Who's the Boss Podcast page on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. I should do that more often.
Yeah. I know. I realized I've had these in the notes forever, and I just kept forgetting to call them out.
I don't know. We forget to say our names sometimes.
Yeah, come on.
So.
We're just trying to get by here. So you can
just trying to finish this thing without an interruption.
I know. There's now a child standing right here, but hopefully she's going to stay quiet. Now, you can also go to anchor.fm/WTVB podcast. And there you can leave us a voice message. Anchor likes to keep them to like 1 minute, so if you can do a 1 minute one, that'd be great. If not, just do a couple of them and then I'll edit them together.
Yeah, we'll put them together for you.
Okay, so what is our song for the end?
Oh, our song is all I have is the Who's the Boss theme remix by Killtron.
Nice. Yes, this one's fun. It's kind of like a video game arcade version of it.
Yeah, it's fun.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe and tell all your friends and give you a big pat on the back.